Hi guys, Kiran Rai here, Ralph Pereira, and we've got the fabulous Aryana Saeed, the best Afghanistan singer. How are you?
Thank you so much. You're so very kind. I'm so happy to be here with you and chit-chatting.
Excellent.
Especially because of quarantine, it's boring.
First of all, I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
How are you dealing with quarantine, first of all?
Well, to be honest with you, I am worried about the world right now and the fact that the world has come to a stop. But from a personal perspective, I am kind of enjoying my time at home. It's like a nice break for me, especially because the past 2-3 years, I have been traveling and working really hard, working on my concert tours and doing shows inside Afghanistan and everything. I never got a break. Right. So right now I'm using this time to take a break at home and enjoy myself a little bit.
And obviously as an artist, it's very important as well, but like, how do you feel? Because obviously, yes, you're in quarantine, but at the same time that you're always behind stage, you're always in a studio. Where do you see the industry is going to be in the next couple of months, a year, maybe 2 years? Because obviously you've transacted from someone from Afghanistan to an international global star. Now you're quarantined in. Where do you fit? Where do you see the industry is going to be in the next couple of years or now?
Well, it's really hard to say, I guess, for all of us. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm actually using this time to at least do some music from home, produce songs for my fans and just, get them engaged with my music. Where usually, as you said, I would be, touring and doing concerts around the world. And this has definitely, stopped us from proceeding with concerts. I guess all the singers around the world, they're at home and they're producing something at home. I don't know what's going to happen in a few months, but hopefully I'm hoping for the world to go back to normal so we can get back to life and work.
Absolutely. Ralph, you want to ask your question?
Yes. Yeah. Hi, Aryana. It's great to kind of to hear somebody like you.
Thank you.
First of all, a couple of questions. The first one is your home. Just like to know where you are. And the second one is you mentioned that, you like to travel for your next concert. I'd like to know which city or the country that you like to travel next when everything is back to normal.
Yes. Well, I was born in Afghanistan. I was 8 years old when we left Afghanistan and we became refugees. We became refugees in Europe. I used to live in London for a long time. Now I have recently moved to Istanbul in Turkey, and this is where I live. But I'm always between Afghanistan, Turkey, and London because my mom is still there, and I call London home at the same time. And we are planning a tour where a few countries are included, which is Australia. We're going to go back to Canada. We're planning a few concerts in some interesting cities like Moscow in Russia, Istanbul itself, Delhi in India. So there's so many countries that we have planned to go, and I'm looking forward, and hopefully it will happen soon.
And do you? And also, sorry, Ralph, after you. Sorry, after you.
Yeah, sorry. You mentioned Australia. My parents live in Australia.
Yes.
We actually got 2 events that we own. One is called Cake Bake Sweet Show in Melbourne and Sydney. It happens in October and November. So if you do plan to travel, and if one of these your events are happening in Australia, we will definitely would like to kind of, to see you.
Thank you.
And also,
thank you. That would be wonderful. You guys are my guests, please.
And also, when you're, I also want to know about when you're working, because obviously working at the same time, things can be very stressful. Now, yes. Do you feel like, do you get stressed at times? Because obviously you have to look the part, get the right singing, make sure everything is ready. How do you keep yourself, maintained,
As you mentioned, it's definitely really stressful being on tour and working on concerts, and it's like it takes money, stressful, sleepless nights, and hard work for many hours during the day, and lots of traveling. Traveling makes you really tired, of course. But then again, you know, it's actually the love and passion that keeps me going to begin with. And then after that, I'm a very, what do you call it? I try to be as professional as possible with my work, and especially when I'm on tour. And I put my work, my performances ahead of me. And I try to forget about the stress and about the problems and just focus on my concerts and on my performances. So I guess it is difficult, but when you really love something and you really have passion for it, you can do anything.
Absolutely. Ralph, question after you, sir.
Yeah, you mentioned Istanbul. I think it's a great city to live. I've traveled there many times. Just like to know, which side of Istanbul do you live? Are you on the European side? Are you on the Asian side? And whichever the side you're living, why your preference to live in that part of Istanbul?
I am living on the European side of Istanbul, and I'm like only maybe 15 minutes away from the mall of Istanbul, like the main mall here. And I love it. Why I decided to come to Turkey and to Istanbul to begin with was actually the weather. For the longest time, I was hoping to move to a country where there is like warm weather and sunny, because my mood mostly depends on the weather. So I was like, okay, so where should I move? And then I thought about Istanbul, especially because it's near Afghanistan and it's near Europe as well. So since I work in Afghanistan a lot, I have a lot of shows there, and I spend most of my time in Afghanistan. It's easier for me to just get on a flight, and one flight to Istanbul and back to Afghanistan. And at the same time, I can do the same thing to go to London or Europe. So I chose to live here.
Do you like London?
I love London, don't get me wrong, but I don't like the weather.
Terrible.
Not the weather, no.
When you come here, what do you like to do when you're not working? When you come here, when you're not working, what do you like to do normally?
You know what? I love spending time with my family. I love going shopping. I love shopping, which I cannot do right now, unfortunately. And, you know, just going around London, going to a cafe, grabbing a cup of coffee, you know, like the simple
Edgware
things
Road.
that I miss.
Edgware
Road, yeah, especially when I am in Afghanistan for a long time, because I'm like a prisoner when I'm there. I cannot like go around, I cannot go anywhere. I'm like a prisoner inside my four walls. So after coming back from Afghanistan to London, it's like, oh my God, it's like
could you live in Afghanistan? Could you go back and live there?
You know what? Not right now. Definitely not right now, because of the situation and the war and everything is like getting worse. But if Afghanistan was a peaceful place, I would have, you know, been able to live there. Why not? Definitely.
Ralph, your question. I know you want to ask a question.
Yes, yeah. You seem to somebody who kind of is passionate about your work, your singing. What is the best song that you have produced? What is the best song that you have produced out of all your kind of the songs that you have done?
Yeah, it's kind of difficult to speak about yourself and your own work and, and praise it. Well, I can definitely tell you that I have produced some very hit and super hit songs for the Afghan community. But for me personally, my most special songs would be the ones that I've dedicated for women, and for women's rights, and in general for humanity, and passing the message of love and unity and things like that. So those are very, very special to me, and they will always have a special place in my heart, because those are the songs that actually have impacted the community. They have impacted people in a positive way, and they have made a difference in people's lives. So those are very special to me.
And also when you're actually, no, Ralph, I'll let you have another question. Go for it.
Yeah. You mentioned that you like the songs that you write about women's, and you care about the women's society, because women are like many other things. There are many issues when it comes to women who are in poverty, women who are, in some societies, it's very hard to move from one ledger to another, mainly countries like in Pakistan.
Yes.
And when you look at it, so, do you have like a charity or something that you do in relation to helping women who is concerned?
I do have a charity actually, which has been active for the past few years. It's called Aryana Foundation, where through this charity, I try to help the poor, like the poorest families and people in Afghanistan. Recently, just not so long ago, actually, this was maybe 2 weeks ago, I got to do like a donation with the help of Afghans around the world to all the people who are suffering because of quarantine and the fact that they have to sit at home and they don't even have food to eat. Because in Afghanistan, what's happening is like usually people earn on a daily basis. They go to work, they get money, they buy food, and they take it home. And now you can imagine when they have to sit at home, they don't have nothing to eat. Yeah. So I try to do my charity work through this organization or foundation that I have, and help all the poor.
What kind of music do you like to? Every artist has their own kind of genre that they like to write. Do you write your own music as well?
I do write my own music, and at the same time, I have a great writer who writes some of my songs. The genre that I really started with, which I love, is pop, of course. Excellent. But I do traditional Afghan music as well, because funny enough, I never used to do traditional music. I just did one song a few years ago, and people just loved it. They went crazy over it. And they expected me to do more traditional. So I do traditional music, but mostly I would say I do pop.
And who's your favorite? Well, not favorite, because I'm sure everyone's good in their own way. But who have you loved working with in the past? Before coronavirus.
It's I actually had I'll just give you a few examples. I had a show in Sweden last year or the year before that, where I got to perform in front of the king and the queen and the royal family of Sweden. And I met with a bunch of like amazing musicians from around the world who played Afghan music for me, and I got to perform. That was amazing. That was incredible. And I also did a show in America 2 years ago on one of their TV channels called CBS, and the show was called The World's Best, where I got to be one of the international judges. And I got to work with the likes of like people like RuPaul and Faith Hill and this other lovely lady. She's a big actress in America.
Right. Fair enough.
So I also, got to work with other like 50 international well-known judges and people, and that was quite awesome. It was.
Are you a judge? Are you a judge? You're a judge on one.
I was one of the 50 judges in that show. Yes.
But you're a judge on another. Is it in Afghanistan? You're like a.
Yes. I used to be a judge in a show in Afghanistan. Well, the famous show that we all know. The Voice, Afghanistan. And also I have been a judge on another talent show, which is called the Afghan Star. Right. And I've done a few years now, yeah.
Right. Do you like collaborating with Afghanistan's artists, or do you like collaborating with English artists or United States artists, or Hollywood or India? What about India? Would you ever try and...
Oh my gosh. India is like a dream to me. Like Bollywood is a dream for me. I've always watched Indian movies, and I love Indian songs from childhood, and I know the language, I can speak it, and I can understand it. And I mean, come on, Bollywood is like a dream for any singer to be.
Would you consider going into Bollywood in the future?
Absolutely. I would love to go there, and hopefully it will happen. I don't know. Hopefully it will happen.
Who's your favorite Bollywood actor?
Wow, that's difficult. I love so many of them. I would say Amir Khan, Salman Khan, Shah Rukh Khan, and recently I really like Kapoor, what's his name? Ranveer
Kapoor. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And do you speak Hindi?
A little bit.
Right, because
but I can understand it.
A lot of Afghanistan people, they watch a lot of Bollywood movies and they speak.
They do. They do. Yes. Yes.
Excellent. Excellent. Ralph, your question?
Yeah, you mentioned that you came as a refugee, I think, to London. I know that we have lots of Afghani people, even where I live. What I'd like to know is it's a big challenge for many people to leave their country and come to another foreign country. And of course, it's great to come and, to find that you have been welcomed here in the UK. What would somebody have to do, in Afghanistan to be like a star like you? What is, you have kind of become a great singer, but can somebody in Afghanistan, can they kind of reach pinnacles like you have achieved?
Because to also add to that, it's a very hard country. Afghanistan
it is a hard country. Well, to begin with, singing for a woman is like a taboo in Afghanistan. It's really, difficult to become an artist or a female singer being a woman. It's the biggest challenge that we have over there. Even for me, even though I do not live in Afghanistan, I live in London, but I just go there to work and be a part of the shows. It's still really difficult for me to be the female singer that I am. I have to basically fight for my own rights. I have to, be strong about it and do what I have to do to be able to continue with my career. So for people in Afghanistan, especially girls and women, I would say it's really, really extremely difficult. But I have been trying to be, a role model for all those women and for all those girls, and to kind of give them that positive energy and that assurance that if they want to, they can do it, and they have to fight for their dreams. Because especially the fact that I'm a part of the Afghan Star show as a judge, over there, so many girls, every year they come to the show and they participate because of the fact that I am a part of the show. And that kind of gives them that assurance and the heart to dare and come and step on the stage. But honestly speaking, it's very difficult. It's like a war.
Right. Does that upset you? That
absolutely?
Is it part of human rights?
It upsets me to maximum. I mean, we live in 2020, but in Afghanistan, people live as they're like hundreds and thousands of years behind this civilization. And women, of course, they are like 50% of the population in the country. And if you take their rights from them, if you don't allow them to work or to study or to sing or just follow their dreams, the country is going to fall back behind, of course. And the fact that Afghan women, they don't have their rights still, and we are in 2020, it's really heartbreaking. But I can tell you that things are changing a little bit, especially from the time of the fall of Taliban. If you remember, during the Taliban regime, women were not even allowed to walk on the street alone. They used to get executed openly in front of the crowd for the slight mistakes that they made in life and things like that, which was really scary. So today, 20 years later, things are a bit better. I mean, women are allowed to go on the street and they're allowed to work if they want to. They can study if they want to. It's still difficult, but at least they're allowed to do that because government allows them to do that. So,
have you ever witnessed anything like that before in the past, or your family, or people that's happened to bad things that's happened in the past with friends?
You know what? We got out of Afghanistan luckily right before the Taliban took over the city Kabul and Afghanistan in general. But then I have heard stories from my immediate family, like my cousins, like my aunts. One of my aunts actually got beaten up on the road because she was wearing white shoes. And white shoes apparently was the color of their flag. And women were not allowed to wear white shoes. So apparently she was wearing a burqa and all you could see was her shoes. And they picked on her on the road. And she was an old lady. She was maybe in her 50s. And they started, hitting her with a piece of wood or something. And right now, I'm like, honestly, I got goosebumps right now thinking about it and remembering it when she told me the story. She lives in Denmark right now, luckily. So things like that has happened to people around me. But
why, Aryana, it's sad to hear, because being from Britain and being from London and brought up here, and you know, you obviously look like you live in, you know, you've done very well. You've got a beautiful house, I can see.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Why? To me, I understand, right? There is a Muslim culture behind it. I understand there is a protocol. But you being from Afghanistan, seriously, why do you think this happens? To me, it makes me angry to know human beings behave like that with a 50-year-old woman.
Yes.
50 years old, hitting a brick on a woman, or getting a piece of wood and smacking around the head for a pair of shoes. Why are people so backwards in a way to do that to someone, thinking it's okay and can sleep on? What?
I know. I think,
what's happening in Afghanistan?
To begin with, I think there has been a game of politics in Afghanistan for the longest time. I mean, can you imagine a country being in war for over 40 years? That's a long time. I mean, any person under such circumstances and war and killing and dying and everything, they would lose their mind. And because of the war, people couldn't study. There's lack of education. There's lack of knowledge about the world and the good and the bad. So obviously, under such circumstances, I think they've lost their mind, and then as a result of that, that's what they're doing.
Would you perform there again? Would you go back there and perform there again, or not now? No.
Guess what? I have been performing in Afghanistan despite all these problems, because, believe it or not, majority of people in Afghanistan, they're actually innocent. They're actually the very normal-minded people who are thriving for music and for happiness and for peace. And I've been, going to Afghanistan, working there, doing concerts for them, for the innocent people. Yes, there is a side of the society, a percentage of the people who are like forcing their own way of thinking and life over these innocents. But majority of people, they want music. They want me to go and sing there, and they support me. And that's why I am here. I'm doing what I'm doing. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to. And
do you consider yourself like an activist or a campaigner against all this crime that's happening? Because, to be honest, you have such a great, a great talent. And also at the same time, you have such a great reach around the world. Where my question to you is, you was recently with Kim Kardashian, Craig David, etc. You know a lot of great influential people. Do you maybe use your influence to stop now and make an awareness, and say, look, this is not right,
Yes. Yes, I mean, I've been as much of an activist as I've been a singer for many, many years now. I remember even before I started my musical career, there was one thing that was in my head was, okay, I'm going to become a singer because I want to change the world. I want to make a difference in Afghanistan. I want to help people, wake up and this and that. So that has been a part of my life and my career for many years. When I mentioned all those songs that I've sang for women and for women's rights and for humanity and unity and love and everything, that is my activist side that has been doing that. And I definitely raise my voice all the time. In fact, just 1 week ago, I released my new song called Lanats. It's on YouTube, and it's actually raising my voice against the injustice in Afghanistan, against all those close-minded people who are treating people really badly. It's against the underage marriages, like little children getting married, like 10, 11 years old. And also it's against this, it's not a culture, but I don't know what there's this disgusting thing that some people in Afghanistan do, which is like making little boys dance. It's against that. So many, problems in the society I have covered in that video, and I hope that you guys go and click on it and watch it, because it would move you. It would definitely move you.
Some artists, when me and Ralph interview you or interview people, they don't want to talk so deeply about their country, about the bad stuff about it, and political advice. But you seem like you're ready for it. You know what?
Absolutely.
You're ready.
I mean, we should always talk about the bad side and the good side of a country. I mean, I cannot just, put a blind eye and say Afghanistan is like the best and we have it. No, it's not. The fact is that we do have problems there, and I want the world to recognize that. And,
what message would you give the government then in Afghanistan, knowing you're such a great, influential person? What message would you want to give to them for them to actually open their eyes and say, right, well, we need to listen now? But what message would you give?
Believe it or not, the government probably know most of these problems in Afghanistan, but they unfortunately cannot help it because it's too early. They are trying. They're really trying their best, but maybe they're not able to do it yet. It's going to take a long time for them to really make a change. And hopefully it will happen soon. I don't know. But honestly, there's so much that they have to solve. There's like rights of the women. There's like underage child marriages, as I said. There is people dying, there's killings, there's suicide bombings. There's so many suicide bombings happening in Afghanistan very often, which you cannot and you do not even see on TV. They don't show it on TV, but so many people are dying on monthly basis. It's
does the government know about these suicidal and also these younger child marriages?
They know, but they cannot control it. When it comes to suicide, obviously there's nothing they can do, because I feel like the suicide bombers, those people are like the most coward people on the planet, because they come and kill people in a way that you don't even realize. You don't even know who it is. How are they going to come? Where are they going to blow themselves up? Like, for example, just 2 weeks ago, a very scary incident happened in Kabul where they attacked a maternity hospital, and they started killing all these women who were like giving birth to little children, and they killed the newborn kids at the same time. So things like this, unfortunately, it just happens and they cannot control it. But when it comes to women's rights and the underage marriages and this and that, this actually is in the hands of government, and they have to make the laws and regulations a bit harder, and they have to put pressure on the police to take it seriously. For example, if a woman goes to police, the police says, "Oh, go back to your house because you're gonna get a bad name. You're not gonna be able to leave your husband because he's gonna kill you. Just go back home." So if you don't support a woman, to get out of that misery and that life, I mean, it's just crazy.
Why do you think the governments are overlooking this child marriage thing? This wrong, situation.
Yeah,
I think what on earth is that all about?
Yeah, I think because they are under the influence of a culture that has been there for a long time, and for them to just suddenly make it go away, they can do that, but they don't want to, because, as I said, they themselves are maybe under the influence of that bad culture. So maybe that's why.
Ralph, question after you.
Yes, yeah. You live in a great city, Istanbul. Like I said earlier on, it's a place that lots of restaurants to eat. So when you are home, do you eat out more, or do you cook at home for yourself and your family?
This question is so cute, because quarantine, believe it or not, has made a cook out of me. I never used to cook at home. We used to eat out most of the time, but because of quarantine, we cannot go anywhere. We cannot go to restaurants, so I have to cook every day. But I'm so happy because I love cooking, and finally I got the opportunity and the time to start cooking. So I'm loving it. I'm enjoying it. But
what about writing new music while you've been in quarantine? Have you
Yes. The fact that besides the fact that I'm becoming a better cook, I'm also getting to produce music at home. Actually, I produced 3 brand new songs during the quarantine time, and I released them there on YouTube. And luckily, my fiance and my manager, he's a very talented, he's actually multi-talented guy.
He's a lovely
and
man.
He learned how to record my vocals, and we just created a home kind of studio for us. I did these 3 songs.
When are you planning to get married?
I don't know. Let the quarantine be over first, and then we think about that.
I hope me and Ralph get invited to the wedding. We can make a speech.
Absolutely. I would love for you to attend my wedding.
And Ralph, actually, you know what? I want to ask a question, actually. I'm going to ask you five fan questions, because I'm sure there's fans out the world that would love to know about you, beside being an activist, beside being a great singer. What sport do you like?
I love watching football. I don't play it myself, but I've always loved watching football. Actually, my niece is called Nadia Nadim. She is a very well-known footballer around the world. She is in fact playing for PSG right now in France.
Wow.
And she used to play for Manchester City Women 2 years ago.
Wow.
So for that reason, football has been a part of our lives for many years now. And I also watch cricket sometimes, especially because I support the Afghanistan cricket team. And I've attended their matches, like I've watched them live in London and in Afghanistan.
What kind of movies do you like when you're sitting at home with your fiance? What kind of movie do you watch? What movies do you watch on Netflix? Comedy, horror? Are you an action person? Do you like Denzel Washington?
Oh, I love Denzel Washington. I love this. Denzel Washington is one of my favorite actors. I mostly watch action movies. I think it's mostly because of my fiance, since he loves action movies. But I also love romantic movies. I think it depends on my mood.
What do you wake up in the morning, and I don't know, are you a healthy person? Do you go for, because me, I'm not so healthy. I like to go to my local cafe and have a big large it's called the rugby breakfast. It's £9, 12 sausage, 12 vegetarian sausages, bread, eggs, beans. Are you a healthy person?
I am.
Or do you have to be?
I have to be. I'm not like healthy, but I try to be healthy. Mostly, I try to eat healthy. Even when I'm outside, I try to make healthy choices at restaurants. But at home, my fridge is like full of healthy things all the time. And when I wake up in the morning, I have a cup of coffee. I know it's not good for you, but that's something I cannot help. If I don't have my coffee, I go crazy. I cannot function without it.
And what do you think of the Arab singers, Nancy Adram? I know that you're good friends with a lot of them. Nancy.
They're amazing. They're amazing.
I met Tamer Hosni a year and a half, a good friend of mine, actually.
Yes.
And, Tamer Hosni is a really nice man. I interviewed him at London Fashion Week.
Yes.
Do you get along with these Arab singers a lot as well?
Yes, I actually love those ladies, especially Nancy. I think she's the biggest star in Arabic countries, and so much respect for her because she's really talented. I actually met Haifa. She's a beautiful lady, a wonderful personality. I met her at an award show in Germany. I also met this other beautiful lady. I cannot remember her name right now. Ahlam I met, and they're all and they're all wonderful, and they're amazing and talented, and
And what kind of, and when do you like tennis? Do you like football? Does your fiance, does he like football and tennis? And
he loves all kind of sports, and he actually does play football with a bunch of guys, and he does play tennis when he gets the chance. He does cricket, like he plays cricket. Every time we go to Kabul, he has like a big team of friends. They get together and play it. I am just a watcher. I watch them, but I use the gym and I just do my walks. That's all I do.
Who's your favorite fashion designer?
Wow, I love this Arabic fashion designer, a designer called Zohair Murad.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wear a lot of like evening dresses at my concerts, and he does like the most beautiful.
Question.
Yes.
You know some artists out there, they say, oh yeah, I enjoy what I do. Now, you've been doing this for how long?
10 years.
10 years. Is there a time in your life where, look, you've come from Afghanistan, you come from a very, very rough city, you've broken out there, you're engaged, you've got fantastic, thanks to Allah, you've got wealth, you've got life behind you, you've got money, you've got a great, successful life. Do you feel sometimes where you're just thinking, well, right, now it's time just to chill out now? Because you know what it is like.
Yeah.
Me as a journalist, I've got to a point in my life, I'm not being big-headed, but I've got to a point where I can meet lovely people like you, And there are journalists out there that can't even get someone from the local area. Now, to me, I feel like I'm in a place where I don't have to try anymore.
Yes.
Do you feel like that at times, you know?
You know, honestly speaking, for the goals that I have set up for myself in my life, I feel like I haven't achieved even half of them yet.
Really? What do you want?
You know, for me, my biggest goal in life is to make a difference, you know, right. To make a difference in the lives of people, to make a difference in a country like Afghanistan. And I feel like there's so much that I have to do. I feel responsible as a human being, as a woman who was born there. So I feel like I haven't achieved any of those goals yet, and I have to.
What's your goals?
I have to work for them.
What's your goals? What you plan to do now?
You know what? I want people to have a normal life in Afghanistan. I want women to have a peaceful life.
So you want to go in the activist lifestyle? Is that right? The human.
Exactly. It's for me. It's more of my activism, and I use my singing as a platform to do that.
Are you worried about that sometimes? Though, when you're an activist, things might fire back on you, and be like, well, you know, because
things fire back all the time. I mean, I have faced threats. I have, you know, been a target of Taliban. I have seen, you know, bombs go off like 50 meters away from me when I was sitting at a show. So things like that has happened. You know what, the mullahs in Afghanistan at what point?
Does that scare you? Does that scare you?
They said that my head should be cut off, you know. It does scare me, you know, it is scary because I'm a human being at the same time. But at the end of the day, you know, when I see the results of my work and I see what kind of an impact it has over the mindset of people and how it's helping, you know, individuals or women, you know, like to become stronger and fight. So that actually, you know, makes everything okay for me again. I'm like, okay, you know what, I'm doing the right thing. If anything happens to me, let it be. At least I'm going to try my best to change lives.
And do you like, what's your opinion about, because I'm not going to label the countries. I don't want to say which countries, but I know, and they know out there which countries do this. But the rich and the poor, and they're all divided.
Yes.
Now, that is a very human bashing thing that in London, there's no such thing as that here. Well, there is, but they're not so. We don't make it public. We don't divide people. Everyone is the same.
Yes.
What's your opinion about that? The dividing from the rich, from the elite, to the people that have to continue, and big five-star, massive £1 million complexes, and then you've got little huts that live there, all on the same road.
Yeah.
And it's so human bashing. And does that happen?
It's very sad. Yes, it's a sad fact of you know, some societies, like some countries like ours. Afghanistan never was like this, like before. Like 40 years ago, if you went to Afghanistan, people were like equal to each other. Mostly they were like in the middle, and everybody had food, everybody had a roof over their heads. But right now, honestly, there's like really rich, and then there's like really poor. And the sad part is that those rich people do not care enough, you know, for the poor, and they've forgotten, you know, humanity, and they've forgotten that there's God above them watching. So that's very sad. I mean, I personally, because we were grown up in a country like England, and we know that you know, we should not put a difference between the poor and the rich. I treat everybody equally, like the same when I go to Afghanistan. I don't care who's, you know, on a higher position and who's a poor. I just treat them the same, and that's how it should be. And that's something that we got to teach people. I mean, we have to, you know, help people, you know, get better in those areas.
Ralph, your question, but on this subject, please. Yeah, on this subject. Yeah.
Which subject?
This subject we're talking about, please.
Yeah, but no, what I want to ask you is, what's the most craziest thing that you have done in life?
A few years ago, I planned a concert in Kabul, and I wanted to perform in the biggest stadium that we have in Kabul. for like, I wanted to perform for like 50,000 people. But then what happened was all these close-minded individuals of the society, they heard about it and they wanted to stop this concert from happening. So they put so much pressure on us. First of all, there was like a major, what do you call it, demonstration going on the streets. Like they were on the streets calling my name, like, to hell with Aryana and her music. She's a devil. She is like a devil worshiper and this and that. So this concert, they were trying their best not to let happen. So basically, they canceled the stadium performance, but I decided to go and perform in another area. So I chose a hotel. And despite all the demonstrations and the threats and everything that they were bringing my way, I went ahead and I performed. And this performance was so historic. I mean, anything could have happened that night to me. They could have shot me. They could have been a bomb blast, anything. But I said, you know what? I accepted death that night. And I went ahead and I performed at a concert. And that concert was attended by so many people, by so many women. It was unbelievable. Because they stood by me. They said, you know what, we're with you, and no matter what happens, we're going to come and attend. So that's, I think, one of the most craziest things I did in my life. And luckily, I'm still alive and I'm talking. I didn't die that night, but I had accepted death.
And also, I remember there was a breaking news story recently. I think it was the Taliban that they were giving the Sikhs. Was it a week to get out of Afghanistan and leave? What was it? There was something about they gave them a time limit.
You know what? In Afghanistan, it's majority of people. They love Sikhs, because Sikhs, they have been the most like loving, the most loyal Afghans for Afghanistan ever. Like they're loved by all of us. But then obviously when it comes to Taliban don't like anybody. They don't like me. They don't like women. They don't like Sikhs. They have issues with everybody. So for that reason, I guess they were putting pressure on them, unfortunately, and I think some of them got even killed as a result of an attack. But then, you know, they have the support of the rest of Afghans, and they have the support of Afghanistan government, and for that reason, you know, they're protected there.
You think the government are part of all of this?
No, I do not think that government is a part of that. It's just Taliban speaking for themselves.
Very scary situation.
Yes, it is.
Do you have you ever tweeted about this or spoken about this to anyone else and said, this is your thoughts and this is the way this is, and you know?
I usually, when these things happen, I usually write on my Facebook, on my social media, on Instagram.
You've got a lot of
I always highlight these issues.
I salute you, you know that, because you have a lot of nerve, because I don't know, as a woman who knows rights, you know, there are like, what do you think of, actually I want a question, what do you think of Malala Yousafzai?
I actually met Malala Yousafzai in one of the events in London. There was the opening of the World Cup cricket last year. And she was there representing her country, which is Pakistan. And I met her and I took a photo with her. I really, you know, salute her for her bravery. And, you know, it's really sad to see what she has been through. I actually watched her documentary on TV, and, you know, to go through all that, being a child, it must have been really difficult for her. But I'm very happy that, you know, she got saved by some people in England, and you know, they supported her and they made her journalists. Yeah, and the fact that she's so strong about it, and she has used her story in a positive manner, and she's changing, you know, other lives. That's something amazing. I have respect for her.
Ralph, your question?
Yeah, Aryana, you sound to me like you're a very strong person, very strong character. Okay, so what is the message you want to give to your followers on the social media, because that's where you're very active?
First of all, you know, I want people, especially the new generation, to use social media in a positive manner. You know, use it in a positive way where they can learn and teach something to other people. And secondly, I really, you know, expect the new generation to you know, try and be better than the older generation who couldn't change anything for Afghanistan. Hopefully, they will be able to change, the country with a new mindset. I want them to study, to learn, and to be able to use their work and their life for a positive influence and for a positive cause.
And in 2017, Aryana, you won the Afghan Icon Award. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I was named the 2000 Best Female Artist of Afghanistan. The BBC also did a documentary, I think a small clip of the best Afghanistan female singer in Afghan.
Yes.
They called you the voice of Afghanistan from the Afghanistan National Television Radio Network.
Yes.
You also received the Best Song of the Year, Best Video of the Year, and the Bravery Award. What a brilliant privilege! What a brilliant memo.
And I won the Freedom Awards from the Atlantic Council in Berlin as well, which I think was a big honor for me. It was like crazy.
Is it something in your heart that, did you expect this all going to happen so quick?
No, honestly, I never thought about it. I always went, with my heart, and everything that I did in my life, I put my heart and my soul into it, without expecting anything, from people. So, when things like that happen to me, and when I get, awarded, or when they show me, love and positivity in exchange, it's like a big blessing for me, and I'm very grateful and very thankful for it.
Am I right in knowing that you was in Pakistan, in Peshawar as well?
Yes. When we left Afghanistan, we went to Pakistan first for like 4 years. I was 8 when we went to Pakistan, and we lived in Islamabad for 4 years. And then at the age of 12, we actually came to Europe.
Are you religious? Are you a religious person, or are you so modernized? But you are religious, but you're modernized as well.
You know what? More than religious, I can say that I am more of a believer, and I'm a very spiritual person. I believe in God. I believe that there's something up there, somebody up there, that controls everything.
Are you Muslim though? Is that right?
I am a Muslim. I was born in a Muslim country, but I'm not so religious. No, like if I go according to religion, that would have been really, really different for me.
Well, I really want to say thank you so much for your interview. It was a pleasure talking to you, and we got a lot of information talking to you. And I hope that in the future you can, your career keep shining, and we're very, very honored very privileged to have you on our list on the 100 most influential people. So we definitely, and you will be #1 in Afghanistan on the female list. So it doesn't matter who we interview, you're #1,
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate your kind words. It was wonderful to meet you and talk to your colleague. I didn't see his face, but he seems to be a lovely gentleman.
Yeah.
So it was wonderful talking to you as well. Thank you so much. And it was great. Thank you.
That's one last thing, Kiran.
Yeah, I'll ask one thing. Go on the Raf.
Everybody likes singing, and when they have to go and do, like you mentioned about voice, you have to sing. You have to go out of your comfort zone to sing. So if I just kind of a request, whether your next song, you can give a teaser to your maybe your followers on social media, maybe that'll be a nice way to end it.
Oh, you want me to sing? Oh wow, okay, I wasn't ready for that one. Ooh, this
is like a private VIP duet,
I know. Should it be in Farsi or in English?
Whatever you want to do, darling. Whatever's good for you.
Okay. My fiance is telling me to sing an Indian song, actually.
Yeah, please. Why not? Please.
Okay,
I'll give it to Bollywood.
So I will sing a bit of an Indian, like old Indian song, which I really like. hopefully you will like it as well.
Cool. Excellent.
पिछड़े अभी तो हम बस कल परसों जीऊंगी मैं कैसे इस हाल में परसों मौत न आई मौत न आई तेरी याद जो आई है लंबी जुदाई 4 दिनों दा प्यारो रब्बा बड़ी लंबी जुदाई
Really good. You have a beautiful voice. Beautiful voice.
Thank you.